Okay, all right. Welcome to the Technology Committee meeting. I'd like to call the meeting to order and ask the secretary, please call the roll.
Yes, good afternoon. Regent Ted Yang,
Here.
Regent Ari Santiago,
Here.
Regent Sophia Japinen.
Present.
Mr. Chair, you have a quorum.
Thank you very much. I'd like to have a motion to adopt the agenda.
Before we do that, just one small correction. I know, Ted,
Okay.
you're growing in influence, stature, and achievements, but we've added an E to the end of your last name in the call to order. And all the growth you're doing, I don't think extra letters to your last name is among it. So perhaps you just want to address that.
Yes, please. Let's make that amendment later or a correction later.
Yes.
That's fine. Other than that, I
well,
move to adopt the minutes.
Thank you for being vigilant on that. Fair enough.
Listen,
is there a second?
I don't know who Chair Yangi is.
Second.
So
Yeah, I'm not sure who that is either.
Sophia seconded while we were bantering.
Awesome. All right. Discussion, all in favor, any opposed? Okay, thank you very much. Next is approval of minutes from the last meeting. Can I have a motion?
I think we just, no, that was what we just did. I think you.
No, that was agenda.
Oh, I apologize. Then I am wrong. Your name is spelled perfectly in the agenda. It was the minutes.
Wow.
That
When
was
the minutes is wrong, right. Okay, fair enough. So that was agenda. So we have an agenda now.
Okay.
Now minutes. Is there a motion
so
to adopt
corrected. And are you making the motion? Because I'll second it.
I will make the motion. You can
Perfect. Seconded.
All right. Any discussion? Okay, no. And then we do have a correction. So on that one, so sorry, a little unclear back and forth, but please fix the spelling of my name. Thank you. And all in favor? Any opposed? All right, thank you very much. Minutes are approved. We have one item that is here for discussion. And I will pass the ball to CIO Michael Mundrain to take care of it.
So I'm just making sure that, so you want to talk about the policy or the update on Banner?
The update on Banner.
Yeah, okay. So nonetheless, so the update on Banner is if you look at the document that's been provided, the status document, I'm surprised that Western also hasn't expressed an interest in resources. Western and Southern, all four of the projects that are executing have concerns about resources. I really think they all should have yellow in the resource category. This was known to going to be an issue. Part of it is that the staff that are working on these projects have not been removed entirely from other duties and put on the project. So the project doesn't operate in isolation. It operates as an addition to other duties. Now, all four institutions have done what they can to lighten the day-to-day operational activities for staff that are working on this particular project, mostly by trying to defer some work that is not necessarily mandatory, but there's always mandatory work that needs to be done in these areas. It's going to be the same for CT State when we begin that project. And these are 18-month projects, so it's not like we can just stop other work. And so there's always going to be resource constraints. But none of the projects at this point are expressing serious reservations about the fairly gentle timetable that the opening with 3 to 6 months of these projects really look like. It's all discovery. It's all, getting people on board. So we're all on the same page on this. The actual technical aspects of these projects are not particularly difficult. Most of the knowledge, expertise, and technical acumen that existed over in cloud hosted translates over into SaaS. The difficulty is in the removal of the customizations, which are commingled with existing business processes across the institutions. And so the most difficult aspects of these projects are going to be business process impact as customizations are removed or modified in order to operate. Well, I say modified, moved outside of Banner done in some fashion, either a mix of technical and process change, mostly process change. And so the constituent business units that rely on certain customizations, they're just wrapping their heads around, what the implication of the business process changes are going to be. So that's all that discovery process that's going on. And so we'll keep tracking it. I will stop.
Okay, that's great. I just wanted to say here that some people have reached out to me as I've been visiting various campuses and expressed concerns or at least suggestions, honestly, to this. And I've referred them to whoever within their own organization is running this project. So I think just for a future report, just so we have this on the record, if you could put the point person for each campus on this report, so that this way, when I refer people to this meeting and they want to go look at status and they want to see what's going on, they know that the people who are calling the shots here are on each campus, as they properly should be, and
Okay.
they reach out to them.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. I will
Great.
get that incorporated.
Okay. And again, this is not our job to oversee this project. That is not the purpose here. We just want to make sure that we are reporting out to anyone else who's here, including the board, what's going on here, and provide oversight on a particularly different level, not on the day-to-day project management. Okay.
I just got my hand up, Ted. I don't know if you saw it.
I can't see that, oddly
I know
strange.
it's
Okay.
it's bright and yellow and big on my
It-
screen. So
It's a big yellow hand. I agree.
that's all right.
That is weird. I can't see it. That
No
is so
worries.
bizarre. Okay, well, go for it.
That's what happens when we took away the extra E. Look, I guess I'm just, and you let me know, Chair Yang, if this is better for executive session, but to me, I think I am unclear on what level of reporting that we should be getting. I'm not satisfied with the reporting that we just got. It was way too many words and way too little sort of progress motion from my perspective. And I'd like us to get a cadence together where we understand what the update is. And it really should just be progress and a quick update. If we need to dig in, I think that should be separate. At least that's my perspective, and just wanted to throw that
Yeah,
out there.
I agree with you, Ari. I think the part of the difficulty is that none of these projects are actually executing right now. They're all really in discovery phase. So it is just a lot of words. But that being said, agree that we should not, we need to keep this lean and we should be iterating on the format.
Okay.
So my perspective is, at least my experience, Michael, you step in if I'm wrong.
Sure.
The discovery phase of any project like this is among the most critical aspects because it's what we're going to use to define where we're going. And so some clarity around, okay, here's what is included in the discovery phases. Here's how they're chunked out, because we got to have, the biggest challenge with success of a long project is that we don't have enough clarity on the individual progress we're supposed to be making up front. And the next thing we know, with 6 months left, there's no hope of getting there and we're scrambling. So just my two major points are the discovery and design phase is going to be the most critical. And from my perspective, where as a technology committee member, I want to have the most input because I think that's what's going to set up the targets for the end. And as we've discussed, and you correct me if I'm wrong, this is a project that's not just about like for like. It's something to more unified and better as a platform to further build on. I view this as the basis upon which we can much more effectively unify the system and leverage technology to meet our students' needs more efficiently. Is that true?
Yes.
I would agree with that statement.
Okay. So if that's the case, then I think we got to be aligned on what are we discovering towards and what's the timeline we expect to see the discovery done in the output of said discovery. Correct?
So what if I did this? I can pull together what I think is a more detailed project timeline as each one of these projects is organized around, and we can say where we are in that timeline on those particular projects. This sort of top level view is what Ellucian gives me, right? But I can pull more of that detail. do we, and I can provide that to this group, and I can say where we are in that on each of these projects, where they are in that more detailed timeline.
Yes, I think that would be, I listen, ultimately, I think it's Ted's decision, but that sounds good to me.
No, Ari, you're on the ball here. I actually hear you saying something even further, which I think we should just discuss whether we want to do this or not, which is that we have maybe an explicit check-in when these various projects get closer to the end of discovery phase.
Yeah, so I think it's
Um,
oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
yeah. So is that what you were saying?
Well, 2 points. One is, let's see the discovery timeline now, so we can agree
Yes.
attainable, not attainable. And then more importantly, we come back next month and it's like, here's where we are against that timeline. So that way we're doing our oversight duty. That's one piece. And I think the second component is, as we're going, as each sort of critical milestone is reached, I think I'd like to hear a conclusion of what came out of it at a high level. Because, you know, Michael, going back to the point, we're trying to bring the systems together on unified processes. Clearly, the discovery is going to start educating us on how practical, well, let me not say practical versus impractical,
Sure.
but just how much water we're trying to carry.
Yes, how far apart they really are.
Thank you, with the gap.
Yeah.
And I think it's important for us as the tech committee to then be able to report out to the broader board and so forth. What is that gap looking like? And is it roughly what we thought? A lot less, a lot more, and then the implications of those discovery items.
Okay, Sophia, are you good with that?
Yeah, I think Ari's got it right. So I think that sounds like a great plan to move forward with.
Okay, so Michael, if you can take that away, and then please iterate with us on the feasibility of this. I just want to, again, let's be clear. Our role here is oversight, but obviously we need to make sure that we are properly exercising that. Yeah, no, I didn't mean to imply that discovery is not important. I just meant to imply that they are so early in discovery. I don't even think they have locked in these dates even for discovery. I'm not sure about that, but Michael, obviously, will let you get back to us.
It's a mixed bag, but what I'll do is I'll provide exactly where we are sort of in that process. And each of the projects has been informed as part of as all the initial introduction part, and in the charging of them when I produce documentation for them, that the most critical aspect is how to get them much closer, right? To eliminate what I refer to as arbitrary differences between systems, ones that aren't driven by actual business needs within the system, right? And so that's they're all aware of that, and but I understand you want more clarity on that. I
Now,
get it.
if we're good with that point, I do have one more point.
Yes, sir.
Go.
So just following back, I know I wasn't available for our last meeting, so I do want to catch up on something. When I start seeing right up front that people are saying we are resource constrained, I realize that we have that as a yellow flag. I mean, that's a flashing red light in my mind, because that's sort of setting the table to later on say, well, I told you we could never do this because right from the beginning, I told you we didn't have enough resources. And I'm not clear that we actually have a solution to that problem, Michael.
Well, let's be specific about what these assertions look like. There isn't an analysis on a project by project basis that says this is the resources we need and this is the resources we have. What there is generically across the projects are anxieties around the scope of the work and sort of capacity, but no real analysis on that. I think that and there is additional resources that are present to be able to supplement, as nobody at this point, and none of these projects at this point have identified where they need to where they need to apply that supplemented money. So that's what the uncertainty is around that. But there are resources, and nobody has produced a plan that says what they actually fully need at this point.
So I don't know how we're supposed to, keep an eye on that, but I'm in the back of my mind hearing this. I'm setting up a excuse why we're not going to get this done before we've even started. And listen, if going back to the carrying water analogy,
Sure.
if what we're saying is these staffs have 10-gallon buckets that they can fill up, and they're already fill at 10 gallons with the daily tasks. Staff working on projects also handle daily operations, cannot simply add external resources because corporate knowledge is essential. That says to me, my buckets are full. You're telling me to put in more water. I have no room, and I'm unwilling to get more buckets because those buckets have holes in them. And so I just, it sort of seems like, again, we're setting ourselves up for an excuse not to be successful. And this project must be successful.
I agree. The
So,
project
so
must be
if
successful.
that's a problem, then we should start solving. I'd like to start seeing and hearing about solutions to it now versus waiting until later.
Well, what if I get an assessment? I'll get an assessment from each of the projects on how big of a gap that they think they've identified, and how they're applying the resources, additional resources that have been provided for that. And do they think there's still a gap on that?
Because I just, again, with deference to the chairman of the technology committee, who ultimately would have to bless what I'm about to say, my view is I don't want to hear about delays because of resource constraints or last minute lack of resources or whatnot. We are here saying this is a critical path project. We need to make this successful. We need to know in advance, and I don't want a gun to my head. We need another $1 million to hire blah 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 later on, or 100,000 or 2 million or $10. Well, fine, $10 is okay, but whatever it is, that's sort of what we're saying now is tell us where your resource constraints are. And I'm unwilling to accept a poison pill now to then just call it out later.
Yeah.
So
Essentially sandbagging us, right? We don't want to be sandbagged.
Yeah.
All right.
okay, so I was not trying to put a poison pill in place, and so
No, not you,
yeah,
them, right?
No
Well,
one's
again, we're not
accusing
accusing
anybody of
anything.
anything. This could have been done
sure,
with all the best of
That's right.
intentions. This
yeah,
is just not my first rodeo.
understood.
I've seen this before, and I just want to make sure that we're extremely, like, our job is to set direction and expectations. So I view this as just a clarity of expectation, which is will not accept. That will be a failure. And so we need to understand that. So my request is up front, either it's covered, take it off the list, or
Okay.
tell us what the problem is and what you need to solve it. But this sort of, it's out there, don't do anything, we'll let you know later, that dog don't hunt in my book.
Right. I mean, honestly, the nice way, of course, to say that is that we are willing to deal with resource issues now, but we won't be willing to deal with them later.
What he said.
So tell us what you need.
I understand.
That's it for
Okay.
me.
Are we good? Thank you, Ari. All right. Anyone have any other items not on the agenda before we go into executive session? Okay. So before I call for a motion to move to executive session, members of the Technology Committee will move to executive session in accordance with 1-200 subsection 6E of the general statutes to discuss drafts and information related to information technology security and not required by statute pursuant to 1-210 of the general statutes. No votes should be taken in executive session. The committee will not reconvene today following executive session, and it is anticipated there will be no action or votes by the committee following executive session. Only remaining item will be to adjourn the meeting. In addition to the committee members, the only individuals who will be in attendance in the executive session that we asked to attend are General Counsel Bufkin, CIO Madrain, as these individuals have testimony or opinion that is pertinent to the matter being discussed. Therefore, allow me to call for a motion to move to executive session for the purpose as I have described above. Motion?
So moved.
Thank you. Second?
Second.
Thank you. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Anyone opposed? No. Okay. Thank you. Motion carries. Ben,
Stop
please
the
terminate the
stream.
live stream.
Live stream has stopped. Thank you, folks.
Thank
Let
you.
me